One, I'm very excited and looking forward to the conference, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be the keynote speaker. I'm really looking forward to it. Just a quick background on my experience. I've been in law enforcement for nearly 32 years in a variety of different assignments as a police officer, as a detective, and then the last 22 years as an FBI special agent. I am currently the special agent in charge at the FBI's Miami field office, where I have leadership responsibilities for South Florida, the Caribbean, Central and South America.
Can you give us a little bit of context as to what your presentation is going to involve?
Yes, so my presentation is going to be talking about the fundamentals of good interviewing. In my experience, as I mentioned previously, as a detective, that's where I really developed my interview skills. And those interview skills really have been instrumental in my success throughout my career. And those skills were really transferable, whether I was working a homicide case, a complex counterterrorism investigation internationally, or interrogating a former head of state. I was very fortunate to have been selected to interrogate Saddam Hussein after his capture. And those interview skills that I used to successfully complete that assignment were the same ones that I developed over the years as a law enforcement officer. And I think they really have value for any type of interviewing, whether, again, it's in a fraud case, interviewing a victim, witness, even interviewing for a, in a case that involves a coworker, or I should say an inside threat, anything like that. These basic fundamental skills are going to be very transferable. And I'm going to share some of the experiences that I've had, whether it was a really important homicide interrogation of a terrorist, or a brutal dictator.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of people, maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect, or they don't think that it is as transferable as it really is. I remember when we first talked about getting you to speak, you gave this example of, didn't you have parallel conversations with the head of state and with Saddam Hussein?
So when I was interviewing Saddam, I interviewed a lot of the other key senior leaders, and one of my most challenging interviews was interviewing the director of military intelligence, so the head in charge of the military intelligence, someone who had been an intelligence officer for 42 years, and at that time had more experience than I had been alive. So you can imagine how challenging that interview was, and the counter-interrogation resistance techniques that he utilized in our sessions. So as I mentioned to you, interviewing is really, it's talking with a purpose and recognizing how to develop those skills to be an effective interviewer, communication, all of those, and those are really transferable for any kind of situation where you have a purpose in that interview.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I know that we're going to get a lot more insight into some of these conversations and some of the specific skill sets that you used and you've really leveraged in your career to be successful. But one of them being principally this idea of the preparation. Even a lot of times people think about the interview as the actual conversation. A lot of what I took from our first conversation was just the amount of effort and time and strategy you would put into just even preparing before you even walked into the room.
Absolutely. The more preparation, the more likely you are going to succeed. So the more effort is put in prior to the interview and the interrogation, the more likely you're going to have a successful interview and interrogation. So for me, I would spend a significant amount of time in regards to the approach, the themes that I was using, even the staging of the interview room, all became critical as I was developing that strategy. And those are some of the things that I think interviewers make a mistake about, not recognizing the importance or the value of those kinds of steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are so excited to have you in October. Thank you so much for making the time to come and present in front of this audience. I know the entire audience is going to be thrilled to watch you speak. George is going to be speaking on the 13th, so the second day of Elite Training Days. He will be the final speaker as well that we have for the event. So to learn more about all of the things that he just touched on, and to gain some insight from his just wild experience that he's had in his incredibly successful law enforcement career. Make sure that you sign up for Elite Training Day, taking place October 12th and 13th in downtown Nashville. We will see you there. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Tony.